Can you hear me? I can hear myself, so that should be good enough. And today is my second day going live, and I'm doing it because I've never done it before, really, and I'm having a good time with it. I'm probably going to do it every day this week. Let me fix my camera. I'm probably going to do it every day this week just to get an idea of how it's going to work out. For me, I've realized that it's very hard to get into brainstorming when doing videos. And it's kind of like how projects always played out when I was younger. And it's because they're very direct. And when I come make the videos, they're pretty direct. So I figured, hey, maybe if I go live, people will kind of feed me questions that they want answered. And I mean, maybe sometimes I can't always give the answer, but I'll always give my best try at giving you an answer, or let you know that I'll figure it out for you. Because that's something I actually learned in business is one of the best answers you can give is I don't know, but I'll figure it out. So it's something that if you guys do have a question I don't know, I'll definitely try to figure it out for you guys. I'm live. This is a little bit different than when I get to sit here and hit the button 100 times. To be honest, when I go do those, it's it takes a long time, but when I'm here, it's I have to do it. So I'm doing it, I guess. I told my wife I was going to make that a thing. So, but today I'm going to go into a few different things. I'm going to get into that toxicity and the MBTI again, because I do think that's pretty important. And one thing that's pretty obvious is how people treat ISTJs. I'll be honest, I can understand where you can see some of the dark sides of ISTJs, but you can see that in all sides. And it is just more of they want control in their day-to-day lives. And a lot of people don't respect that, but it really does get things done. There's a reason it's the majority of society, it's needed the most. And that's one clear, obvious view of how the toxicity is in the personality community. And I know a lot of ISTJs. I work with them a lot. They're the most dependable type because they're so controlling. And it's interesting because when I got into this, I really kind of thought I was going to fit more into the type personality, the type community, the personality community. And then I started seeing all these divides in it. And I don't know, I was listening to the Personality Hacker podcast, and they were talking about the paradox, and there's the paradox here of we all think the same thing. We're different types, so we're realizing it different ways, and how we want to act on them, or how we want to think on them, or how we feel about them are different, And I don't know, I guess everyone, I don't know, that's why I don't how people just decide, hey, let's pick on ISTJs. And that's just one big point. And then other things I see are I don't know, you really shouldn't go get typed and pay for it. Personally, I don't think I would ever treat typing somebody as something I would want to be rewarded for monetarily. I don't know, it just doesn't seem appropriate to tell somebody what their type is and get paid for it. I would rather help somebody figure these out, and I think we should try to look for more of that in the community. When I see the comedy stuff, that's really funny actually. Frank James, he's this comedy stuff is funny because it points out those sides, but it doesn't mean that you dislike those other personality types or anything like that. I would say it means that we all have our flaws. We're all human, and it's very recognizable. And I think when we slow down, we really start to recognize it. As an introvert, I feel I didn't recognize it so much when I was younger, and it's because I think introverts really work on their identity a lot. They lead with an introverted function, and I think if they're perceivers, maybe they build an identity quicker, but if they're judgers, it's they're working on that identity like actively. It's not like being processed. It's their first judgment is the first judgment. So I feel like I did that a lot as a kid, and I didn't recognize like I was kind of like I wasn't mean. It was just I told people the hard truth. You know what I mean? And then when you make people like emotional about it, it's not a fun thing to do. I don't think anybody wants to do that. So I think now that I'm aging, I'm really starting to see like these differences in people. But what I really was talking about was like you shouldn't pay for somebody to type you, because if you can't recognize it within yourself, then you really haven't done enough to like for somebody else to type you. It's like I don't think people realize how hard it is to see inside somebody else's real world. It's easy to see like if you talk to somebody for like an hour and you're asking the right questions, maybe you could, but it's still you're always gonna. I realize like there's always that question of like, okay, NISE paired together in the middle somewhere, but like why do I feel like I have NE? And it's like, okay, that's kind of like part of the journey is to really figure out like where you're using all of these things. And the journey is so much fun. Like, I don't know, but like right now, like I honestly feel like I'm living in a paradox kind of like, because I love this type stuff, but I also understand like it gets cultish. Like, I don't know if people realize it, but it does. It's just like any other, you have political groups, religious groups, and it's like, it becomes a belief that you hold on to, even when you see like the discrepancies in them. And I don't know, it's not a good way. I mean, it happens, so I guess I can't say it's not a good way to live, but I think it would be better if we started to like recognize those paradoxes that we're like living in. I really liked that podcast. It was really interesting, actually. It really got me thinking like about all of our different paradoxes. Like when you think about like the fact that we live in oxygen and we need to drink all this water and stuff like that. I don't know. But so yeah, I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't pay for a type session. I would join a type community, and I don't know. I feel like if you really like type, most of the time you're just willing to like talk to people about type, have them take a test, and then like go over it with them. It's fun to do. And then like another thing is like you start seeing like I don't know. I see the patterns, but you see the post from people in type after a while, and you start seeing like they get really depressed because they really did get so deep into it where it's like you gotta get yourself out of it kind of. Like I'm sure some of you follow or subscribe to some of those people, because like some people like in the type community who are coaches are really actually suffering from trying to please the type community, I would say. That's what it really seems like. I don't know. I like to make people happy, but I wouldn't like a lot. I think I've done it, but like once I realized I have to change instead of like continuously trying to make people happy. I don't know if you're an INTP watching this, and you probably agree. Like there's like a limit to where I can act in a certain way without really realizing that people are pushing the boundaries in a way. So, and when you go argue with somebody who's like really trying to coach you and just offering you good advice, I don't know. I think that's also rude too. Some of these people like that's why they're becoming down, but it's because they haven't worked on themselves enough to not realize that they're becoming down. Someone said, yeah, I agree. I try not to let my personality type define me. Some people let it go too far. Yeah, and like it's to me, it's definitely fun. It's definitely there and all that. But there's so much. It's so much more fun to really like say, go into your shadow. How can you really work on your shadow? Like and it's these challenging things. It's kind of like me coming on to here, and it's like, okay, I have a couple bullet points, but this isn't how I normally make a video. I'm like challenging myself, and it just got a little more fun thanks to Dexter. That's awesome. But that's what we got to do, and I feel like the more you experience life, like you do realize it. But another thing is like, we also have to look at like what are people like suffering from too. I think a lot of times like in their own lives, I think we don't like people really start picking on people online, and then it's like you don't even realize like what that person's going through. And that's kind of what I would love to see. It's like realizing our similarities between people, and then like we're working on a way to make, I don't know, personally, I think that like there's a way that everybody can be happy, I believe. There's a way that like we could actually start working on things like longevity of life. I'm sure some of you have heard like that these studies are being done. And I think that's what we should kind of be working on is a human life, making human life longer, making it more enjoyable. And I think it's a good place to start from recognizing like that there's a lot of areas that we have to direct our energy to if we're going to do that kind of stuff. But it's definitely doable nowadays. Like personally, I don't know. I feel like it's scary to say, but like I would want to live to 150, and I think like probably 10 years ago I was like, no, if you live to 150, you're going to be miserable. But I would say like if you could live to 150 now, like we're probably going to be in good shape. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you agree with that? Because I don't know if I can still think and move pretty actively, and I mean, Vitalik Buterin put tons of cryptocurrency into it, so he's obviously for it. I don't know. I think it would be really good because then I think when I think about how we learn, we start from like babies, and you could be studying for years and years and years, and you're still not going to have all the information that has been passed down through time. You're not going to have been able to go through and been like, hey, you're not going to be able to like nitpick everything. Like, so I think that if we lived longer, that would give, like we would see an evolution in our brain, I would assume, right? Like that's pretty much what you could expect, that after 150 years, like we would be storing so much data and information that we would have I bet you our brain would look almost completely different. It would be actually kind of awesome. And then he actually said that like give it like 100 years from now, and they might be saying like 250 or 350 years. I don't know. I think that would be kind of cool too. But I don't know. I actually like, I don't like, because it's almost like we're going to just create other worlds in a way too, and with like virtual realities and things like that. It's like, I'm optimistic, but at the same time, it's like we're just doing everything we're doing here and moving it somewhere else. I didn't check. I don't know if I can check. Does this sound better? Okay, so where was I? Are you guys optimistic about the future? Like, I don't know. Like, when I think about what virtual reality is going to do for us, I recently played the Quest. I thought it was pretty cool. I wouldn't jump off the plank. I don't know if you guys ever played that, but there's one where like you basically jump off a plane and try to kill yourself or something. I don't know. And I'm pretty optimistic about it. And I just think that as a whole, our whole world, we should all be looking to be more optimistic towards this. And I don't know. I feel like if you understand technology, you should try to help people understand it. I work with a lot of older people, and when I hear how they talk about technology, they aren't excited about it. But for me, I don't know. I feel like it's going to help us a lot. And what I try to do with older people is really explain to them like the benefits. And even with, like when you think of cryptocurrency and credit cards, like you can see the evolution of that. I try to explain to them that, and I think we should really help our elderly, and I think we should help our kids more. I understand that, but what I kind of did say, I don't know if you caught that. Like once we do this, we're creating other worlds where like basically new things are going to be happening. Like if people decide, hey, I'm going to try to live in a virtual reality, like it becomes a new thing to create. You would expect, and I do think that like, I don't know. I feel like younger generations kind of have it hard. Neutral when it comes to the future. Progress more cause lazy. So yeah, like I say, like how I would see it is like, okay, once this VR comes, you're gonna have people living their dreams. Really, when do you think like why would you go into a VR world if you're not doing something that you loved, right? Or that you actually wanted to do? So anything that you think is possible would basically be the point of that, and then you would be able to expand reality in a way too. So I don't know that we would necessarily become lazy koalas. I do see like, yeah, I guess if we're talking about the automation that's in our hand, yeah, we become lazy koalas. But the automation that we actually put ourselves into, I think it gives us more possibilities and opportunity to progress the way we would want to individually. That's just what I think. But yeah, but that's kind of the thing is like, I think kind of the technology is like a go with the flow thing. It's coming up. It's like, why fight it so much? I think even my favorite's crypto. Honestly, right now, I've been mining crypto for a few years now, actually, and I personally just see I don't know. I'm no socialist, but I think that people should barter more. Did you know people get taxed to barter? Like, if you barter with somebody and it's like documented, you get taxed. Like, I don't know. I think that shouldn't be a thing. If you decided to barter with somebody so that you can create without having to work for somebody else, I think that would be a great kind of society too. I mean, that's just my opinion there. But I think like the technology that's coming up, if we embraced it more, and we help, like, I don't know, I've helped my parents kind of understand it. So maybe that's why I see it. But like, if we embraced it more, and the older generation actually like kind of embraces it as well, it'll help us for the future. That's kind of how I see it. I think that it's a great way of actually deterring conflict. I think the biggest part is that like, it's weird, but I don't see as many people as you would think, especially younger generations, that are into technology. And I think a lot of it is really getting to the nitty gritty technical aspect of the security. If things like that are going to keep going, then you need to be you probably need to be more secure, because people are going to put their life savings into these wallets. You need to be more secure than the credit card companies right now. And I mean, they say blockchain is really secure, but there's people who can access other people's wallets and things. The government can still do it and things like that. But I would say that it's on its way. And I don't know. I personally would love to see it happen. I think it would for business. I mean, me being a business owner, I think it would be easier to barter and still be able to maintain income. But now I'm gonna like leave it open for any questions. I'd like to hear from you guys if you guys have any. If you guys want me to go into type, I can definitely do that, because I think type helps. I'm saying question, but I think type helps with actually understanding how these things play out, how like you can use type to understand types of government. And a lot of what Carl Jung actually talked about was like how we had Western and Eastern civilization and how they clashed because they were actually working from two ends of the type. Like one was working from an extroverted thinking, one was looking from an introverted thinking standpoint, and that's where a lot of clash was. And you actually still see that in development today. You still see you still see that like there's some that influence more holistic, spiritual approach to things. Now or when I was younger? Now, extroverted feeling. Well, my wife is an extroverted feeler. And I've explained that actually in a video before. And I think that's like, when it comes to extroverted feeling and I realize that there's like a situation that revolves it, she kind of like helps me through it. But also, my parents are ISFJs, both of them. And growing up, like I went to church from the time I was a young kid. So I feel like FE was like, I understand it. I don't act on it all the time, but like I do sometimes. I don't know. It's like, it's there. I personally think it's a I think that my issue is that it's possible. Like, and it would just need more understanding for it to be possible between people. And I think that's kind of what I would like. I think understanding and trust. And I think that it's coming from cryptocurrency, but there could be a consensus around most things. That's what I genuinely believe. So I would rather like let people realize like the ways that like harmony can be made in the world. Is that a good enough answer? Maybe. I think so. And then I only tuned in when I started chatting with VR Future. You're on about, do you see it being used for work or something? It's already used for work, I guess. I haven't used it there. It's definitely that. But okay. It can get dark, but I feel like we could treat drug addicts with it if you really think about it. You can like. I think the only scary thing is that people like how much does it really affect our dopamine? Like, are we going to want to be in that world forever? I don't know. That's kind of the thing. Is like I wouldn't want to trap people in that world forever. Like that would be like, and we could set that would be setting them up for it if that's what it does. So we need to understand what it's doing. But I could see that. I could see maybe it is a thing where people decide, hey, upload me to there. I mean, I guess if like, say global warming got so bad, I mean, I don't know what I believe in global warming. I understand all sides of it, but I don't know. I think it happens. But anyway, say like that really got that bad, then, they say, okay, well, like, and it was affecting other planets and things where we don't have interplanetary space travel. And okay, then maybe most of our civilization decides, hey, I'll upload. Why not? And once someone does it, that's how it works. Like once someone does it, like we do follow. It's like when someone got the vaccine, they did follow. And I guess if you don't follow, then I mean, hopefully the thoughts of the world ending aren't really happening, I guess, or however it's happening. Because I do think, like, say we weren't out in the world. I'm a horticulturalist, so I do believe this. If we weren't out in the world, it would be a lot more green and things like that. Yeah, that's about where I see it going. If it ever had to, I think it's going to be fully for any use that people decide to actually use it for. It's going to be operational for that. All right, and then about the FE, I can definitely understand that I'm an INTP female and my mom is an ESFJ, so I think she's helped develop my FE a bit. That might be the same for you as well. Yeah, that's definitely My best friend is an ESFJ, and honestly, when we were younger, I'm talking like in high school, and he's my best man in my wedding. I was actually like, I was an explorer. I really was. I was willing. I was very open. Anyone who makes me kind of realize I'm open to a lot of different things. So I was the one who influenced him to do a lot of exploration when we were younger. I won't go into the details of all our exploration. And then as we grew, he actually he matured a little bit, a lot before me, in a way, in a different kind of way. But it influenced me to like kind of like slow down a little bit, and like that's kind of why like I don't know. I honestly always thought like I was gonna be single and just date girls and things like that. But seeing like him like slow down kind of like allowed me to realize like, okay, this is time to slow down. I saw a few of my other FE user friends slow down, so it definitely helps to keep FE users around. It was funny a couple of days ago, he was over at my house, and I was like, we were talking about the birth of my child, and I was like, yeah, I was thinking about becoming a doctor after that. He's like, oh yeah, you would do that, just give everything else up and go become a doctor. So yeah, I would, but I'm not going to. So we look at the world completely different, but it's definitely beneficial to have him around. And really, if you want to have fun, your ESFJ friend is going to be the one who can bring you out to like have fun in a social environment. So I agree. But anyone else have any other questions? Because I'm definitely willing to answer some of the questions. Just so you guys know, I don't know if you heard earlier, but I'm going to do this every day this week. I don't know the times, but I want to get a little more used to this, and I want to hear from my subscribers and see what the world's thinking about a lot of things. Because I personally think talking to, I don't know, I think there's like the picture of the world being so bad is kind of, it's not as bad as it looks out there, you know what I mean? So being able to talk to other people and kind of just, for me, it's brainstorming, but it definitely allows you to kind of get a clearer picture of like what's going on in the world. Because I don't know, when I see these things, I really do think about them. Like, even when I see other people making bad decisions, a lot of times, like, I'm like, wow, like, that's like, it's because you don't have people to tell you no. Like, you see that, like, they just don't. I don't know. I've seen people. They're making obviously bad decisions, and they brag about it, but they don't have people to talk to and communicate with. And I don't know, for my cognitive functions, any needs to have people to talk to, like, or at least brainstorm with. I consume, and then I see what I can do with what I consume with that information in a way. Like, what do other people think about this? What other information can they feed me? So just so you guys know, it'll happen every single day this week, and hopefully you guys will hold me to it, because I'm going to hold myself to it. All right. Anyways, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video. Let me know. I don't know. It was kind of like I get to just come talk and brainstorm. It's not too bad. It's a good time. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like having a staff meeting would be so much worse, which I have next week. Like, I got to run a staff meeting. That's so much worse. But after that, like, really, I leave work, and because I get a lot of questions, okay, and it's like things I went over a lot, or that like there's some things grown adults maybe shouldn't be asking sometimes. It's like, you should like, especially like if you worked at a place for a long time. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. This isn't nearly as bad as doing a staff meeting. It's a better conversation too. Like, it's I'm not telling people what to do, you know, I'm telling people like my ideas. Big difference. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. See you guys the rest of this week.